little bit about the 4-game assessment. I know it's awfully early, but you guys are flashing some signs of some progress here.
We are. I think we are making some progress. We're still trying to figure out what the strengths are of all of our individuals, and so we can put those together in a kind of a team concept. We're still learning our team chemistry a little bit. Like I said, we're trying to figure out roles, trying to figure out the best way for us to play, for us to be the most successful.
Now, you made some moves on your starting lineup. Talk a little bit about that and how that has looked like it's really kind of working out well. After that McCook game, you kind of messed with your lineup a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit, and I think we made it better defensively. We did some things where we started to kind of make us offensively go inside more. I think we sometimes settle too much for the perimeter game, which is normal at this point in history with basketball. But so I think we did a little bit of that. We made some adjustments to make sure the ball went inside. And then defensively, by changing the lineup, by changing what we do a little bit, it's allowed us to put a lot more pressure on the ball. And it gets us so we're moving better offensively as well, because we turn them over a little bit more, and it gets us as a team, it gets us moving, and gets us some easy baskets.
Yeah, and that really was kind of the case last night. The defense came up big, and then you guys were able to kind of put that thing away towards the end.
Yeah, absolutely. We struggled the first half. We were turning the ball over, and we were doing some things that, we just can't do against a good team. But then the second half, like you said, our defense turned up. We got some easy baskets. The ball started to move a little bit more, and we stopped turning the ball over, and we stopped giving up a lot of second shots. So there you go.
You've lost some guys here, but your depth is showing up. I mean, you don't have a lot of numbers, but the numbers you have, you're getting the most out of them.
I think so. I think, we're a pretty balanced group, and hopefully by the end of next week we'll be able to add one more to that mix, and if we could add one more, I'd feel a lot better.
Talk about Mike's situation. When's his projection to come back, and what does he do to this team?
He's a whole different dynamic. He's a really good on defense, really good rim protector because he's so athletic, and it makes it really hard for people to drive. And we're not too bad at that right now, but that will improve. And then offensively, he's another one of those big athletic guys that he can score a lot from the inside. He'll get some offensive rebounds, but he also can score a little bit from the outside. So he just gives us, a little more, even more dynamic than we are right now.
Talk a little bit about this schedule. I mean, you're like a day on, a day off. You have front-loaded this thing, but this is the challenge, and this is where we're at, and you guys are kind of taking it on.
And that's exactly right. This is the third schedule we've made. We started with a regular schedule when we scheduled it last year, and then we changed it over. We were going to start in mid-October, and then they said no, we're going to start January 20th. And so we had to revamp it again. Well, in our case, because we are not in a big conference or region with a lot of teams in it, a lot of the schools will play their region games. Well, if they have 8 teams or 9 teams, they're playing 16 games, twice a week, so they can do all that. Well, in our case, we don't have that. And so we had to top load because the JV teams can't play they're done by the middle of February pretty much. And so we had to load those guys up. And then the same thing with like Johnson County and KCK. They're in Highland. They're all in a region that they can't play later in the year. And so we had to, North Central Missouri is in kind of like we are. They only have like 3 teams in their region. So they're like us. Good thing is we do have a conference, but there's only 3 other teams besides us in it too. So it makes our March schedule look really sparse. But we wanted to get as many games as we could. We're allowed 22 games this year, and we scheduled 22, so it was really heavily loaded to the first half of the season.
And you'd mentioned this to Brian the other night where, there's really not a whole lot of teaching going on, if I misunderstood. But how could there be? So you're just kind of on the fly here, and how do you handle that?
Well, you make tweaks instead of major adjustments. Hopefully you've done some work that where you've got them, at least to a degree what you want them to do, and so the tweaks can be smaller. And it's probably forced us to simplify some of the things that we do to make sure we can do them. And kind of remember, we still struggle with that at times, but we're hoping that by March that we'll have everything down. But it's made us work to simplify, don't make major adjustments, just make minor ones, and try to get it going from there.
Well, seems to be working so far. You're 3-1. You've been here 17 years. Let's not get too excited here, but where's this team fit as far as the talent, everything else that goes into it? How good is this team that you've had here?
Well, this group can be as good as any group we've had. We have more size than we've probably ever had. We have some kids that can shoot the ball probably as individuals better than we have in the past. Although we got to fit that into what we do. And now I think we're probably at guard, we're probably playing more the way I would prefer to play, get out and defend and scrap and do those kinds of things. And I think we're doing a better job of that now. And I think that's a personnel thing as well. So, like I said, they have a chance to be really, really good if they stay healthy, number one, and number two, as team chemistry gets better, the more they play together, the better the chemistry will get, and the guys do get along pretty well. So that's a good plus. At least they have that as a starting point.
Absolutely. Well, before last night's game, you said, we might be able to do some damage inside, and we match up with them really well. And it looked like there were times, a lot of the times, that really was the case. You guys really matched up well with them last night. You went down low.
And the times we didn't, we had to keep reminding them that's where the strength was, against them. And I thought that was one of the things that we didn't do very, very well in the first half. We took too many one-pass threes instead of the ball moving. Now, I don't mind us taking threes, but the ball's got to change sides, make them guard. But the ball needs to go inside where we can attack from the inside and take advantage of the size that we do have.